So I'm thinking of two angles here, theta and alpha, which are complementary. They add up to 90. So if theta plus alpha is equal to 90, then what did we learn from this? What is sine theta going to be equal to?
Sine cos alpha.
So sine theta will be equal to cosine of alpha, right? Also, cosine of theta is going to be equal to?
Cosine alpha.
So cosine of theta is going to be equal to sine of alpha. If you want to put it another way, you are saying if two angles add up to 90, any two angles that add up to 90 are such that the sine of one is equal to the cosine of the other. Okay? So this is what we can say. So what is the sine of 90 minus theta equal to? So this is equal to cosine of theta. Because if I take 90 minus theta and I add theta, I will get 90. So 90 minus theta and theta add up to 90. Therefore, the sine of 90 minus theta should be the same as the cosine of theta. Similarly, the cosine of 90 minus theta should give us the same thing as the sine of theta. We call these ones co-functions. Sine, cosine. They work together, which is why there is a relationship between these two. You will actually discover that the cosine graph is just a phase shift of the sine graph. You can shift the sine graph somehow in order for you to obtain the cosine graph. Or you can shift the cosine graph in such a way that it gives you the sine graph. So the sine of the sine of an angle should be equal to the cosine of 90 subtract the angle. That is the same thing. Okay, do you think you'll remember this? No? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And so we'll come to this one here. 90 plus theta. Right. 90 plus theta. What do you think cosine of 90 plus theta is?
Negative. I'm lying.
You think it's negative?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Negative what?
Negative something. Negative.
You think it's negative sine theta?
Yes, sir.
Negative sine theta.
I think.
Yes, it is negative sine theta. We will check why. What do you think about sine of 90 plus theta?
Negative cos theta.
Negative cos theta. Negative cos theta or cos theta? Okay. Okay, then let's check that. It will be cosine of theta. Here is one way you can do this, especially these last two. If you think like this, if 0 is here and 90 is here, if theta is in quadrant 1, then where is 90 plus theta? So 90 plus theta should be in quadrant number 2. Okay, so when you get something like cosine of 90 plus theta, think like this. 90 plus theta is in quadrant number 2. But in quadrant number 2, cosine is negative, which means this whole answer should actually be negative, right? Right. But we know that cosine and sine are co-functions, so this thing must actually change to sine. So it does change to sine, and then it becomes sine of the acute angle. So that is why cosine of 90 plus theta is equal to negative sine of theta. So the thing is, how will I know that I can use co-functions? Like earlier on, we were using 180 minus theta, 180 plus theta, 360 minus theta. We were not thinking like this, right? So how do I know that I can just use I can change cosine to sine. How do you think you'll know?
The 90.
The clue is the 90, right? When you see the 90, it's really the 90 or the 270. So if you see 90 or 270, think about cofunctions. If it's cosine and then there's a 90 there, then you know that that cosine should change to sine. But work out the sign. Work out whether it's positive or negative. So let's look at sine of 90 plus theta. So this is how I would analyze it. 90 plus theta is in quadrant 2. And in quadrant 2, sine is positive. So I know that this answer should be positive. But again, because of the 90 that I see here, I know that sine must change to cosine. So it will change to cosine, but then it has to be cosine of the acute angle theta, which is why sine of 90 plus theta will give us cosine of theta. All right, happy? I'm not sure if we have enough time, but look at this example here. Simplify sine of theta minus 90 divided by cosine of 90 plus theta. Okay, this one quickly. Which one is easier for you to work out, the numerator or the denominator?
The denominator.
The denominator. Okay, let's start with the denominator. So we want cosine of 90 plus theta. I know we did it, but think through it again. 90 plus theta is in quadrant 2. Okay, and it says cosine. So because it's cosine, we know it should be negative. Right, but there is a 90 plus theta inside, which means we should use cofunctions. So cosine should change to sine. And we use the acute angle theta. So the denominator reduces to negative sine of theta. Right, what do you think about the numerator now? So it says theta minus 90. We don't like that, do we? We prefer 90 minus theta, right? Right. Okay, can I show you how you can go about that? Remember, theta is in the first quadrant. This is the shortest way. There is another way. But the shortest way is theta is in the first quadrant. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So theta is in the first quadrant. And this says theta minus 90. So I'm starting from theta and I'm subtracting 90. So where will I end? Is it clear that theta minus 90 will end us here? Okay, so I'm starting where theta is and I'm going minus 90. So I'll end up in the fourth quadrant. Right, I'm looking for sine. It's sine of an angle that is in the fourth quadrant. So is our answer positive or negative?
Negative.
Our answer is negative, right? But because of the 90 that is there, I know sine must change to cosine, right? So then this becomes cosine of the acute angle theta. So this thing just becomes minus cosine of theta. That is the quickest way. Otherwise, if you want the long way, because that thing is sine of theta minus 90 degrees, which you can write like this. I don't think anybody wants to go that long way. You see what I'm doing? I'm changing the signs. So because I've changed the signs, I need to put the minus outside.
Yes,
And then I end up with, now I'm going to use the negative angles. From the negative angles, we said sine of the negative theta should be equal to minus sine of theta. So if this is the case, then what do we get for this one? We should get minus sine of 90 minus theta. But sine of 90 minus theta, just the sine of 90 minus theta, will give us cosine of theta. So this is another way of getting it, but why don't you just do that? So whenever I get this like theta minus 360, theta minus 90, theta minus 180, I just start from the first quadrant and I go minus 90 or minus 360 or minus whatever. And wherever I end, I then apply that kind of thinking. Okay, so there we are. So this thing will become negative cosine of theta divided by that. Can you simplify that?
You.
I want you to simplify that into a single ratio.
You.
What is minus cos theta divided by minus sine theta?
It's going to be a positive.
It will be positive, clearly positive, because the minuses will cancel out. So then it becomes cos theta over sine theta. But I need a single ratio. You still remember sine theta over cos theta? You've forgotten that from grade 10. Sine theta over cos theta is tan theta, right? Which means cos theta over sine theta should be 1 over don't worry.
I don't remember.
Okay, don't worry, you will remember all that. You will remember all that.
So where did you get 1 from?
I got it from here. Tan theta is sine theta over cosine of theta. This is grade 10.
Yes, but where did you get number 1?
Yes, so I'm saying, so this thing here is tan theta, right?
Yeah.
But if I put a 1 here,
Oh, okay.
now if I write this upside down,
Oh, okay, now I see.
just write it upside down. So this thing goes 1 over tan theta, and that one goes cos theta over sine theta. So that is where I'm getting that from.
So
Okay.
So
Yes.
it was sin theta over cos theta would have been tan theta over 1.
Yeah, but tan theta over 1 just means
Tan theta.
tan theta, yes. Okay, guys, so another example very quickly before we finish this. Can you simplify the sine of 100? Okay, let me make it interesting for you. Suppose sine of 10 is equal to p, right? Then what do you think cosine of 100 is equal to in terms of p? Beautiful question. So I'm saying if sine 10 degrees
Yes, sir.
is equal to p, then can we write cosine of 100 degrees in terms of p? Okay?
Use the same thing we're doing now, sir.
Yes, we can use the same thing that we're using now. We can write 100 as 90 plus
That's beta.
90 plus 10. Do you see that?
Oh, yes, yes.
So 100 means 90 plus 10. Okay. Okay, let's continue. So it's cosine of 90 plus 10. What is cosine of 90 plus 10? We know that 90 plus 10 is in quadrant.
I think
Quadrant 2, right?
22.
Cosine they should be
Negative.
negative. But because there is a 90, cosine should change to sine. And it should be sine of the acute angle 10. So what is the answer in terms of p? So the answer is negative p.
Oh, that is beta.
Okay.